They sold their properties. They borrowed from relatives. They left behind everything they knew, chasing a promise. A promise that if they studied hard enough, paid their tuition, and followed the rules, they could build a new life in Britain. But today, that promise lies broken because the UK, the very country that invited them in, has changed the rules. And thousands of students from Africa, India, and across the developing world now find themselves stranded, jobless, and facing deportation. This is the untold story of how the British dream was sold and then taken away. The dream that sold hope. In the last few years, the United Kingdom has sold itself as a beacon of opportunity. Study in the UK, the ad said. Start your global career. Universities ran glossy marketing campaigns, filled with smiling students and London skylines. Agents promised pathways to success. Government websites spoke of a global Britain open to the world. And people believed it, because for families in Lagos, Nairobi, Mumbai, and Accra, Britain wasn't just another destination, it was the dream. The land of stability, safety, and prosperity, a place where education was a bridge to a better life. Many families sold their homes. Some took out loans worth years of their income. They sacrificed everything, believing it would all pay off. Because the promise was simple: study here, get a British degree, work for a few years, and just maybe settle down permanently. But what they didn't know was that this promise was never meant to last. The business of students. To understand what happened, we need to talk about what international students really mean to the UK economy. Each year, over 600,000 international students come to Britain. Together, they contribute more than £42 billion to the UK economy. That's more than the country earns from its entire export of cars or oil or the music industry combined. It's an invisible export, education as a business. British universities have quietly become dependent on international students, because while domestic students pay around £9,000 a year, international students pay 3 to 5 times that amount. That money doesn't just fund classrooms, it keeps the entire higher education system alive. Universities build new buildings, expand programs, and balance budgets, all thanks to foreign students paying premium prices. But here's the twist. After Brexit, when EU funding and free movement dried up, the UK needed a new cash injection. So they opened the gates wider to non-EU students, especially from Africa and India. They called it Global Britain. They rolled out the red carpet. The message was clear: come study here, bring your dreams, bring your savings, and bring your families also. We'll give you opportunity. But as with most things that sound too good to be true, there was a catch. The silent policy trap. In 2021, the UK government introduced the graduate route, a post-study visa allowing students to stay for 2 years after graduation to work or look for work. It was marketed globally as a bridge to settlement. It gave students hope, and it worked. Applications from India skyrocketed by over 400% in just 3 years. African enrollments more than doubled. The UK was now the second most popular study destination in the world, after the US. But behind the scenes, a different conversation was happening inside government. Politicians began worrying that Britain was becoming too attractive, that the graduate route was being abused, that too many people were staying, so they changed the rules again. In 2025, the UK quietly announced that the post-study work period would be cut from 2 years to just 18 months. It might not sound like much, but it changes everything. Because the path to a work visa, and eventually settlement, is brutally competitive. You now have just a year and a half to find a job that 1. Meets strict salary thresholds, 2. Qualifies under narrow skilled worker categories, and 3. Comes from a company with a government license to sponsor foreign workers. And if you fail to do that in time, you go home. It doesn't matter if you worked part-time to survive, if you graduated top of your class, if you sacrifice your family's savings. When your visa expires, that's it. You're out. The human fallout. Imagine this. You come to the UK, spend £30,000 on tuition, £15,000 on living expenses, and 2 years of your life. You graduate, but you can't find a job that meets the salary threshold. Maybe because your field isn't on the shortage occupation list, or because employers don't want the bureaucracy of sponsorship. Your graduate visa clock runs out. You have to pack up, leave the country, and return home, often with debts larger than your family's annual income. This isn't a hypothetical, it's happening right now. Students who once saw Britain as a gateway now call it a trap. Thousands of horror stories echo through social media and online student forums. Stories of desperation, exhaustion, and regret. For many, returning home means facing shame, unpaid loans, and shattered families. They did everything right. They studied, they paid, they followed every rule. But when the policy changed, so did their futures. The political game. So why did the UK change course? The short answer, politics. The British government is under enormous pressure to reduce immigration numbers. Headlines about record migration levels have fueled public anger. And international students, though they make up a fraction of total immigration, became an easy target. In Parliament, some MPs argued that the graduate route was being used as a backdoor to immigration. They claimed students were bringing too many dependents or taking low-paid jobs. It didn't matter that international students bring billions to the economy. It didn't matter that most of them leave after their visas expire. In the political game, perception beats reality. So, to look tough on immigration, the government tightened the rules, banned dependents for most students, reduced post-study time, raised salary thresholds for work visas, and extended the time required for settlement from 5 years to 10. It's a message dressed up in policy. You're welcome to pay, but not to stay. The economic irony. Here's the irony. While politicians claim they're protecting British jobs, universities are quietly panicking. Because without international students, many UK universities simply wouldn't survive. Tuition from foreign students now makes up nearly half of some universities' income. Remove that, and the system collapses. So, Britain's education sector keeps recruiting aggressively, even as the immigration system closes the exit door. It's a perfect contradiction. You're wanted as a customer, but not as a citizen. Britain's education industry thrives on your tuition, while its politics profits from keeping you out. For every smiling billboard that says, "Study in the UK," there's a Home Office memo planning how to make sure you leave afterward. It's a cycle of economic dependence wrapped in moral hypocrisy. The emotional cost. For many students, the dream has become a psychological nightmare. Isolation, depression, anxiety, feeling unwanted in the country they once admired. Some are skipping meals to save for visa renewals. Others are living in overcrowded flats, juggling multiple jobs, terrified of running out of time. A few have even taken their own lives under the weight of financial and emotional pressure. But you won't hear those stories in glossy university brochures. Because for every success story Britain celebrates, the few who get sponsored jobs or settle permanently, there are thousands who disappear quietly, deported, indebted, and broken. They don't fit the narrative. They're the hidden cost of Britain's immigration politics. The global ripple effect. Back home, the impact is devastating. Entire communities borrow money to send one promising student abroad, believing it will change the family's future. But when that student returns empty-handed, the ripple spreads. Loans go unpaid. Siblings lose their chance at school. Families lose land, businesses, and stability. What began as hope ends as generational debt. In some African and Asian countries, the British dream is quietly dying. People no longer see it as a path to opportunity, but as a trap for the desperate. And perhaps that's the real tragedy. When hope becomes a business model, trust dies with it. The colonial echo. There's also a darker layer to this story, because in a way, it's nothing new. For centuries, Britain extracted wealth from colonies through trade and resource exploitation. Now it extracts wealth through education. The currency has changed from gold and cotton to tuition fees, but the relationship feels hauntingly familiar. Young people from the developing world send billions to British institutions, chasing the prestige of a Western degree. And in return, they get tighter borders, harsher rules, and fewer rights. It's a new kind of colonialism, one that sells hope instead of land, one that drains talent instead of minerals. What comes next? The question now is simple. How long can this model last? Because if international students stop coming, British universities face financial collapse. But if they keep coming, more dreams will be broken. The UK stands at a crossroads. Between being a global educator or a global exploiter, it can't be both. And for the thousands of students now facing expired visas, impossible job hunts, and lost futures? The damage is already done. The final word. For decades, Britain's greatest export has been its image of fairness, opportunity, and education. But that image is fading. Because a nation that sells dreams must also honor them. And right now, Britain isn't honoring anything. It's taking the money, rewriting the rules, and walking away from the human lives it enticed. Maybe one day, policymakers will realize that immigration is not a burden, it's a gift. That those who come to study don't just bring money, they bring ambition, innovation, and hope. Until then, thousands of students will keep living this silent tragedy. And the next time you see an ad saying, "Study in the UK, build your future," remember, it's not a promise, it's a business transaction. If you've ever dreamed of studying abroad, share this video. Because people deserve to know that behind every British degree is a story of sacrifice and sometimes betrayal. And if you absolutely want a UK degree and eager to go back home after your studies, feel free to hop on the next plan to London, Manchester, Birmingham, Cardiff, Glasgow, Edinburgh, or anywhere else in UK. But if you dream of settling down in the UK with a nice comfy job, wake up and think before you act. Let us know what you think about the way modern Britain is treating legitimate immigrants from developing nations. Thank you for watching and stick around for the next video.